Hi, everybody.
Hello, guys.
Hey,
Happy New Year.
happy 2022.
Yep,
It's almost the end of the month, though.
it's still a Happy New Year because it's the first time that we're chatting to you guys.
Yeah,
We're excited to be back on this platform.
yeah, and with this year, one of our resolutions is actually be a little bit more consistent
Yep.
with this because, there's so much that happens, in our lives, and sometimes and often we get busy and yeah, before you know it, you haven't done any updates,
Yeah.
video upload in like a month, and then the two, and then the three, and
And
yeah,
then forever.
life goes on. So, but we really want to be consistent, this year, and we want to start off this year with one of the subjects that are really a hot topic,
Yeah.
in the marriage world and certainly the relationship world, and that is that of how post
Or past
past, not
traumas.
post, yeah, how past traumas
Yeah.
affects our marriages.
Mm.
And we want to talk about that, and maybe later we can talk about the solutions, how to deal with that.
Yeah.
But
It is quite topical.
it is quite topical, at the moment, because there are people, believe it or not, who don't believe that their current behaviors are not affected by where they come from,
Yeah.
by how they were
It's very
raised.
hard. You can't separate the two.
You
Really.
can't, because the truth of the matter is, I am the total composite of where I come from.
Yeah.
In other words, what you see in me and what you fell in love with
Yeah.
when you got together with me is as a result, if you like, of
Of
where
where
I
I
come
come
from.
from. Yeah.
When you think about it for real, and where I come from cannot really be divorced to who I
Yeah.
am right now. It's not to say I'm not going to be able to learn new things. I'm not going to learn, how to do, whether I like my past or not.
Or not. Yeah.
There are parts about it, that affect, how I make decisions today, and even how I shape my future.
Yeah.
Because if, for an example, I come from a past relationship, where I was being controlled, in a relationship, more than likely I'm going to say the relationship I'm going to have going forward is one that I am not going to be controlled. Can you see how the past affected,
Yeah.
my decision making going forward?
Without you
Without
even
even
realizing.
realizing, and so on. So
And I think as well as women, there is that tendency of thinking you are marrying the person, the prince or the king that you have found now, but you kind of ignore the fact that the person did not just become who they are.
Yeah,
Fine,
yeah.
they may be looking great now, they may be looking fine, they may be successful and all of that, but somewhere, somehow, their past is going to start showing, especially when it's a past that is not as great. There's ways that past will creep in,
yeah,
in their
Yeah.
current lives,
Yeah.
one way or the other, especially when someone has not dealt with a horrible past.
no, correct.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that you talk about women, and all of that. I
Yeah.
think as men, when we get married, we marry somebody that we hope will not change.
Yes.
And women, on the other hand,
And we marry people we want to
they-
change.
Yeah, you marry projects.
Yes. I want to make you
Yes.
the way.
Like,
I kinda want
he's
you
not,
to
he's not bad, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that.
Just
I
a
can
few
change.
tweaks.
Just a few tweaks
You'll
and
be
whatever.
fine.
And then on our side, when we marry girls that
We
we
hope.
hope they remain like that, don't change. And then when she changes, it's like scary, and
Yeah.
all of that. But
Back to the topic.
I think one of the issues that we want to mention here is that when we get married, two things. We marry the totality. We don't just marry the person. You don't just marry the individual. You marry the totality of the being.
Yeah.
You marry, first of all, you marry their in-laws too. You marry
Their families, you mean.
family. You marry, sorry, not their in-laws. What am I talking about?
You marry the
You marry
in-laws too.
You marry the in-laws too. You marry their family. You marry their mother, father. You marry their uncle, their aunt, their sister, brother,
and their past,
and even their friends to some extent. But that's one thing, and we'll talk about that, the in-laws and the influence later. But also, when you get married, you don't just marry the person; you marry their history too.
Yeah.
You marry where they come from. You marry their experiences. You marry the past decisions they have made, good or bad.
So it's not just the number of years that you are married; it's the number of years plus
yes,
the history.
The history, because the thing there is, however old the person is, that's how old a history you are married.
Yeah.
So however, it doesn't matter their age. That's how old the history you are married, of the person. And we want to talk about that, about just a couple of signs that display and they show themselves up in the relationship and, and the marriage, and how that affects, the marriage going forward. Because it does affect.
It definitely does.
The relationship.
Yeah. I mean, one of the ways I can just quickly think of is overreaction. On things, we've all met someone when you speak about something and you actually just think it was just a light moment,
Yes.
It was nothing serious. I was just mentioning how I don't like a certain thing,
Yes.
and the person just overreacts, before you know it, you are arguing about something. Before you know it, you're fighting about something.
Yes.
And for you, it was a simple comment on something,
on a particular issue,
and you kind of wonder, why are we overreacting about this?
Yes.
Actually, that's not where I wanted to go. All I wanted to say was I need a new pair of shoes, for instance.
Yes.
Why are we fighting about it? Why are you overreacting? Why,
yes.
Are you over the top? On something.
Yes. Yeah.
So that overreaction, sometimes it's a sign that there's something that was not dealt with.
It's always great when somebody overreacts.
Yeah.
For you not to be caught up in the overreaction.
Yes.
Because the overreaction can be a sidetrack. It can sidetrack you.
Yeah.
And then you end up fighting over something you shouldn't be fighting in the first place over.
Yeah. Yeah.
But somebody, when you are overreacting, it's a trigger.
Yeah.
It's something
it's taking them back to
a particular experience. That they may have gone through.
Yeah.
Here is the key, I believe. The key to dealing with an overreaction or an overreacting partner is to engage with the situation. Engage, be in the situation. In other words, don't be caught up in the emotion.
Yeah.
Sometimes when somebody, I understand it's easier said than done.
You fight back when someone is overreacting.
When somebody is overreacting, depending on how they overreact, you want to kind of fight back. You want to kind of, repudiate.
Yes.
Even. You want to get back. And set them straight, as it were. But it's important for you to get in the moment and understand that, my spouse.
That is coming from somewhere.
Somewhere. So that helps your communication, so that you don't engage the overreaction, but you engage the person's history. You engage the person where they come from, and you could easily say, for an example, when I said I'll be coming home late.
What does it mean to you?
Why are you overreacting? Why? I mean, I'm communicating to you, as I should.
My action. Why
is that an issue? So that you are able. Hopefully, they are honest enough with you, to tell you, where that comes from. But even if they are not, you have a responsibility. Going forward, you have a responsibility
to find out.
Of finding out, and that's why we always talk about being each other's students.
Yes,
and keep digging about each other, and so that we can learn more about one another. And so on.
Okay, and what I also find interesting is one of those symptoms, or is people that are oversuspicious. You definitely have encountered someone like that.
Oh yeah.
Someone who's oversuspicious, You say something, and already they've gone beyond what you were saying.
Yes,
And
yes.
they are starting to dig.
Yes.
So when you say you're gonna be doing this, is it because of that?
Yes,
Is it because of this? Is it because of that? They become very, very over suspicious of something that for you really did not mean any, or rather did not need an interrogation or any investigation or whatever.
Yes.
But you kind of see people going beyond what you were trying to do and digging for more information because they are always suspicious. So there's an issue of trust.
There's an issue. Look,
so
trust is a common underlying factor.
Yeah.
When it comes to past relationship traumas,
I guess
it doesn't matter how your past relationship trauma is manifesting itself in your current relationship or marriage. Trust is always a common.
It's always the big issue.
Two, actually, it's trust and lack of communication. Communication and trust are always the issue.
Because obviously, when you don't trust someone, it means you're not going to open up as much as you should with that person because there's you. I guess as well, it's also a matter of you don't know what people will do with that information. So if I overshare, what will happen? Because remember, a person has been hurt before. They perhaps have done the same thing, and they got their figures bent. So if I open up to you, what are you going to do? Are you going to use this information against me? What's going to happen? So that becomes, one of the...
Yeah, so overreaction is one big sign, but the other big sign is what we call emotional numbness. Being emotionally numb. When you have gone through a very traumatic experience in your past relationship, your past life, and then you commit into a new life, you commit into a marriage, you marry somebody, but what you do is you build walls around yourself.
So you're closing yourself up.
You close yourself up. We've met a lot of couples where the lady would say,
it doesn't bother me
anymore. She would say the guy is just dead. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he has got no emotions whatsoever, and there's absolutely it's walls, built around it, and that is a sign, or rather, let's say that could be a sign, of somebody who has gone through a traumatic experience in the past. Because another thing is, because of what they went through, they made up their mind. They made up in their mind that I am never again going to be hurt like that.
So basically, they hide behind this wall because it's safer behind the wall.
It's safer behind the wall.
Yeah,
it's safer, but it's also dangerous behind the wall because walls, they do two things. Walls. They keep people out, so it's safer that way. But at the same time, they keep you in, so you can't get out.
You can't reach out.
You can't reach out. So it can be a very lonely place. You can be a very lonely person in a relationship, in a marriage.
I guess which takes us to another sign, which is people who are pushing away.
Yes,
because
actually, it's connected to this.
It's actually connected to pushing away because what happens with pushing away, people, everyone who wants to love you, you kind of feel like, no.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Why are you coming closer?
Yes.
Why do you want to be friends with me? Why do you want to befriend me?
Yes.
Those type of things. So
that's very problematic.
You end up pushing away people who have got good intentions. People who are coming to your life because they love you. They're coming to your life because they find you interesting as a person. But you become, or you have a tendency of pushing those people away because it's safer when you are on your own.
When you're on your own.
And rather don't come anywhere near me because I don't want to relive the experience.
Gosh, my goodness. So not only do you enclose or you become emotionally numb, where you don't feel anything, as it were. And I don't believe there's such a thing as somebody who's not feeling anything, but that's another story. Where you are numb, your emotional numbness, and you hide. I like that word. Emotionally numb, but you also push people away. So whenever somebody, your spouse, is trying to get close to you, to reach out to you, to be affectionate to you, you push them away. Pushing them away may not necessarily be physical, to say, it may be avoiding and you rather spending time elsewhere with other people, with other things, even with work, so that you are occupied,
to avoid them as much as you can,
as a way of avoiding them, as much as you can, and that is very, very dangerous. And that also could be a sign, of that.
Yeah, and a very common one is hang-ups about sex.
Hang-ups around sex. Oh my
and
goodness,
we see that all the time.
Yeah.
And I know it happens for men, but I know it's very common for women.
Yeah.
If you've had a bad sex experience, you kind of, sex for you is trauma more than being something that you should enjoy.
Yeah.
So you try and run away from anything that involves affection.
Yeah.
Because affection for you does not speak what affection is supposed to be.
Or even that, you sometimes, even a simple touch, like this,
it kind of brings back
it will either trigger a flight, or a fight mode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And where, depending on that experience, if the sexual experience was very traumatic, it can make you, run away,
flight,
so that when I touch you like this, in your mind, it communicates, okay, so the next thing after this is that he's going to want,
hit me.
He's going to want to get physical, and all of those kind of things, and that is very, very
painful.
It's
and I think with this one, guys, we really are going to try and go into detail with it, because a lot of marriages fail as a result of this hang-ups around sex, where, and remember, when you have past trauma, most of the time your partner is not aware of it. So
quite often.
So you are the one who knows, I don't like sex because of ABC.
Yeah.
But your partner is unaware. So your partner kind of reads this as, you
rejection,
don't love me.
Sexual rejection.
You don't.
Yeah.
You prefer work. You prefer your friends. You prefer your family. But I'm the one person that you don't like in this relationship or around here. So it becomes very important, but we're going to talk later on how to cope.
Yes.
But it's one of the common ones when it comes to marriage. More for women. I know it happens for men as well, but it's mostly women where we're going to have issues around sex.
Yeah.
Because maybe our first sexual experience wasn't the best. Or
my sexual experience before I met you wasn't the best.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't the best. Or you were raped as a child, or you were sexually assaulted,
or you were taught wrongly, about sex. That's
a story for another day.
You were taught wrongly,
because most of us growing up were told that sex is dirty,
this evil, bad thing.
Sex. And we grew up with that notion that whatever that's sexual, it's bad, and that's something. Growing up, that we need to sort of unlearn.
Yeah, we need to.
We need to unlearn, because it has messed up who we are as Black women in particular.
And here's another thing that here we are not talking about somebody who naturally has a low sex drive.
Yeah,
and somebody who naturally has a high or higher sex drive than the other. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
We're talking about this symptom manifesting itself in your marriage because of the experience that you had. What you said earlier about, sometimes your partner doesn't know, that you're going to. Sometimes your partner knows because you have told them and you opened up to them. You're vulnerable at one stage, but your partner, because they never went through the experience, they kind of moved on, from it. You know what I mean? So they didn't really appreciate how it affected you. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And therefore how it affects your behavior now. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there was no appreciation of how, or maybe you didn't communicate how it affected you.
Yeah, maybe it's
You
not
know,
even
and-
appreciation. It's and this is always the case. You know, you will, if you have never walked a mile in my shoes,
Yeah,
you will never understand
Yeah.
how painful my shoes are.
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
unless you go through the same experience
How
for
painful
you.
your feet are.
Sorry, I said my shoes.
Yeah.
How painful my feet are
Yeah.
because you have walked a mile in my shoes.
Correct.
So we also need to understand that people will never understand our situation unless they've experienced the same.
But when it comes to marriage, where we are one and where we're supposed to be totally vulnerable,
Yeah.
you know,
Naked and not be
totally
ashamed.
naked and not ashamed.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Naked and not ashamed. You know, I don't need to necessarily have experienced, you know, but I need to show so
Yeah.
much concern,
Sympathy
care,
and care.
empathy,
Yeah.
you know, for what you went through.
Yeah.
That the people that did things to you know, I'm in your corner. You are in my corner. So whoever did something to hurt you, I hate them. Okay, hate is a strong word, but
I dislike them.
you know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
and whoever makes you feel bad, I don't want that person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I have a responsibility as your spouse to protect you. Okay,
Yeah.
so in other words, even when it comes to doing things to you
Yeah.
that trigger, you know, that past experience, it ought to be my responsibility to protect you.
It ought to hurt you the same way.
Exactly.
Because that's what you guys are life partners.
You are life partners,
so to
you know.
speak,
So
yeah.
basically, I feel what you feel.
Yeah.
You know, and you feel what I feel. Sorry, we're gonna talk a lot
Yeah.
on this.
And then another one is unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Oh my goodness, this can be very dangerous.
We see this quite a lot, and I'm sure you've witnessed it yourself, where someone is being excessive in how they are dealing with situations.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you find this a lot where someone is over drinking
Yeah.
because there's a problem,
Yeah.
and they find perhaps drinking as a way of forgetting
Coping mechanism.
the past. You know, so to
even
speak.
even eating.
Overeating
you know,
as
comfort
well.
food,
Yes.
you know, and all of that. Look, all of these, when we talk about over drinking,
Yeah.
overeating, drugs and substance and all of that, a lot of it are really meant to numb. I'm wanting a place
Yeah.
or a space where I can be comfortable
Yeah.
and not be judged.
I mean,
You know, where for instance substance abuse is concerned,
yeah.
I don't want to feel anything.
So you
for that
basically are
moment.
numbing yourself.
I'm basically
with this
numbing myself
particular-
from the reality.
You know,
You know?
I've found as well, sex has become that for other people.
Yes, absolutely.
Where someone is over
Indulging, is
Overindulging
that the word?
in sex.
Yeah. Over engaging,
and you
sex,
kind of
yeah.
find, okay, this is not normal. This is probably their coping mechanism.
Yeah.
It's amazing how other people will avoid sex, but others can actually use sex as a way of shielding themselves from the past.
And by the way, it can either be or, because
Yeah.
there are people who have had a very bad sexual experience, you know, and the result of them is not avoiding it.
Yes.
The result of them is wanting more and more of it, and they really give themselves into it,
Yes.
and they really become addicted, you know, into it. So it has an effect either way,
Oh, wow.
you know.
And then I think lastly, guys, it's basically people who, it's called communication avoidance.
Yes.
You know, people who are going to avoid talking at all costs. You know, when something requires a sit down or something requires, like, can we talk about this?
Yes.
This is when these people run away.
Yes.
You know, some people will go to an extent of when an argument breaks, they will get out of the house and then they will come back when the argument obviously.
And
Yes.
I guess there's good in that.
Yeah.
You see, I guess the difference is in the motivation.
Yeah.
On why are you leaving the
Why are you
environment.
avoiding?
You know what I
Yes.
mean? There's somebody who needs to leave the environment, especially when things get heated up, you know, and then you excuse yourself from the environment. and then you come back when hopefully both of you have come
Come
down.
down.
But there's also somebody who leaves the environment because they are runners.
Yeah, I think the difference there, Suri, is with communication avoidance. It's not just going away because I just need to cool off.
Yeah,
it's going away because I'm avoiding. So even when you come back,
I don't want to talk
you
about
are still
this.
not willing to talk about it, and that's a sign that there's something deeper, there's something deeper that you're running away from. There's something that you, as a partner to this particular person, you need to dig more to find out why is talking a big issue for you,
and
why,
talking on a specific issue,
yeah,
because that avoidance, it's not on everything.
Yes,
but it is very much around, specific issues.
Confrontation, I suppose.
That perhaps, yes.
Yeah.
So I think, guys, we're going to stop there. There's a couple of these more, but we're going to stop there for this particular video. And we hope that you gained a thing or two from this to identify, what are some of the struggles that your relationship goes through and your marriage goes through. And perhaps you may just need to open up about where you come from in terms of your past traumas, in terms of your past experiences, even the decisions that you have made. And we really hope that God blesses your marriage going forward.
Because remember, the past has a way of catching up with you.
Absolutely.
So you better catch up with it before it catches up with you. Thank you so much for watching. We shall be chatting to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a
Goodbye.
good time. Bless you. Bye.